Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 602 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Yuval Ackerman, and what attracted me to her was the word ethical. Now, as many of you know, I'm somewhat of a consumer advocate and have a TV show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade. You can see the trailer at scambrigade.com, where I go after scammers and expose their dirty tricks. And here's the thing, you can, Yuval knows this, you can make a fortune ethically and sleep well at night with no lawsuits against you and no one bad-mouthing you online by just not being so pushy and obnoxious like a lot of people are. And that's what Yuval will be talking about today. Now, I did a little research on her, and the literal meaning of her name is a small stream. And many of you know that copywriting I have coined as the number one skill in my entire 45 years in business that's brought in $30-40 million. Just to me, not counting what I've taught to my students. And the little bit of effort is kind of the small stream effect. You know, a stream will wear out a rock, you know, and make some big changes. Well, learning what Yuval has to teach you can take a little bit of effort, but can make massive differences in your business. So really pay attention to this episode. All right, I hope you didn't miss episode 601. That was St. Rappaport. See, ST teaches you how to rewire your brain for increased productivity. There's lots of little things that you can do and be much more productive. And for a relatively young person, she is wise beyond her years. I got to tell you, that was episode 601. And to get to any back episodes, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number 601. And I'm sure you're going to want to listen to this one again, 602, and pass it on to your colleagues. All right, make sure you grab a copy of our automation ebook. This is my sleazy way of getting you on my email list. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. Getting you on my email list, but I'll tell you what, this is no like 3-page checklist. This is a 60-70 page book of how I've made millions and millions of dollars and saved millions of keystrokes. That's the whole thing, folks. I want you spending time with your customers and prospects and developing products and services, not fighting with your computer. So that's what this book is all about, and we're happy to give it to you at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And then pick up a copy of our podcast app. Apple kind of messed up and dropped it out of the store, the what do you call it, store, but it's back. So screwthecommute.com/app, that's APP. You can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. Now, we're going great with our program to help persons with disabilities, get them scholarships to internet and digital marketing. They amaze me. 2 of the people in the program are blind, and they're doing better videos than I do. So it's so inspiring, and I'm just so thrilled to be involved in helping them change their lives for the better. So check it out at imtcva.org/disabilities. Of course, that's going to be in the show notes. I know you don't want to remember that. And click on the GoFundMe account and check out their videos, their updates, and it's just a beautiful thing to be involved in. So check that out. All right, let's get to the main event. Yuval Ackerman is the person to work with when you want to ditch the sleazy sales tactics in your email marketing, but you don't know how to do it yourself. And as an ethical email strategist and copywriter, she helps entrepreneurs tell their stories and market themselves without feeling guilty. And they even have fun on the way. So Yuval, are you ready to screw?
Hey, Tom. Commute? Yeah, of course. Let's go.
Let's screw this sleazy commute. I gotta, we'll tell them about that later. But what is interesting, I was looking at your background. At 17 years old, you were working at a radio station. You were a sound engineer. How did you become that? And how did that turn into a copywriting career?
So I grew up in Israel. I was born and raised there. And when you finish high school, you're basically, you just have to enroll to the army. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I was fortunate enough or not fortunate enough to be actually recruited to the Army's national radio station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was a journalist there for 3 years. That was mandatory. And I learned a lot of things when I was there. I think the most important things that I learned there is what I don't want to do, which is become a journalist after this, after that experience. And so I ditched journalism and I ditched writing, which I was doing up until that point my entire life, which was heartbreaking. But, I needed a big break. And I basically went into a writing hiatus for like 7 years or so.
Wow.
And just did a whole bunch of different things that I loved, in other fields like gastronomy. So I dealt with food in cafes and restaurants and bars and all that. And I also dealt with sales. And somewhere in between, I decided that I want to pursue another dream of mine, which was to become a music producer. And then I just moved to Berlin, Germany, where I'm based right now, and did my bachelor here. And yeah, and then after I finished my audio engineering and music production degree, I decided, well, I actually don't want to do music. I want to get back to writing for people for a living, whether it's writing music or writing anything else. And that was sort of the beginning of my journey back into writing, into copywriting, actually.
Well, I guess at the radio station for the Israeli government, you didn't learn Krav Maga and shoot Uzis, huh?
Well, they tried. Here's the thing. People who are recruited to this unit are not what you would have in mind. They're not like the stereotypical soldiers that you have in mind. Even our commanders at the basic training, where they try to give us, this one singular lesson of Krav Maga, they kind of gave up on us. So it just goes to show, how incapable we were physically. But we were recruited for our brains, not for our bodies.
Well, there you go. That's a good thing. But I was thinking about having you instead of interviewing you, just having you sing your way through this. You got some heck of a good voice. I saw your Instagram. Are those all original songs on Instagram?
My personal one, I
Yeah.
think most of them are. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, what a voice. I thought, yeah, let's just have her sing the whole thing and I could just sit back and listen.
If only I could.
Now, I heard you talk about a thing called bro marketing. What is that? And how do you,
Ooh.
yeah, and I think you said you want to avoid it too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Please do. Everyone who's listening out there. Bro marketing is like an umbrella term for everyone who's using all kinds of sales tactics which are kind of making you uncomfortable in your seat when you're reading the copy. So a lot of those marketers are using FOMO, they're using guilt, they're using shame.
Tell them what FOMO is.
FOMO, fear of missing out. So
okay.
by now, before it goes away for forever and ever, we don't know when is it that we're going to suggest this again
Until
ever.
tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, exactly.
Okay, so that's bro marketing, and you want to avoid that kind of stuff. And tell them, I was teasing about the word sleazy because I want to really dive into this a little bit, because one of the standards of the entire internet marketing industry that I have been in since the beginning, 28 years, has been ethical bribes, they call them, and freebies and so forth. And you said that's sleazy. Now, how can you buck the entire system like that?
Well, I'm obviously overgeneralizing, which is a very human thing to do. And, I'm only human. What I have a hard time with this particular method, I would say, is the lack of transparency with this. So a lot of times, we're not naive, right? But a lot of times still, when you're getting some kind of a freebie, you're automatically registered to the general list or maybe a welcome sequence right from the very beginning. And, there's something wrong with that as a concept, but at least be transparent about this and say, you're signing by actually agreeing to receive this freebie, you're going to be signed up to my list. And I find that still a lot of business owners or brands are not doing this. And that's what I have a really major issue with.
Well, a perfect place to hide that no one will ever see on earth is in your terms of service, right? That's where everybody does.
Of course. But as you said, again, no one ever reads that.
So technically
what
it's transparent, but nobody's ever going to read it. But I would contend that every piece of software you've ever bought in your whole life or gotten for free, has 50 pages of 2-point font that they know nobody is ever going to read. So the whole world is sleazy.
Well, we're getting into a much bigger discussion here. I don't think we have the time to get into this.
but I mean, that's part of the deal. I mean, nobody's ever read anything on earth that's written for software or where's some other examples of that? You have to agree to our terms of service. Click this thing, and it's like 48 pages long.
Yeah, of course.
I would contend that no judge in a trial about this has ever read one of those when they download a piece of software. So.
That's a big, big thing to say.
Now, here's the thing. Your father taught you that a table with 3 legs would always be more stable than one with 4 legs. And you came up with the 3 main pillars of ethical marketing. Can you explain those to us?
Well, Tom, you've definitely done your research properly, and I thank you for that. Yes, so I talked to a lot of business owners, and what is it that they found to be annoying in the digital marketing realm, and specifically in the email realm, and got to the conclusion that there are 3 things that we need to talk about. The first one that we need to talk about is transparency. We mentioned this a bit before. The second one is consent, and the third one is storytelling. And I think that when you combine those 3 pillars and use it in your email marketing, you're hitting a really good, sweet ethical spot. And I recommend everyone to use those 3 pillars in their email marketing.
Now, how would you differentiate between, or give us examples of 1 and 2? Like, if you're transparent and they sign up, isn't that just automatically they've consented?
In a way, yes, but at the same time, I would encourage everyone not to exploit this consent further on. So I can give you an example of how I do it myself. When someone signs up to my email list, the transparent part is that the thank you page says something along the lines of, here's what you're going to receive from me from now on. So there's going to be a welcome sequence, and then there are weekly emails with, insights and funny stories. But the consent part is that during my welcome sequence, which is like 6 or 7 emails long, depends on the season probably, I'm also giving everyone the option to opt out of my email, not my email list generally, but opt out of my welcome sequence alone.
Okay, well, hold on right there. Isn't that demanded by the Canned Spam Act already?
Good question. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely it is. You have to have a prominent unsubscribe link, or you have violated
yes.
the Canned.
Unsubscribe, yes, for sure. I agree fully, 100%. But how many email lists started sending you a welcome sequence that could be maybe a bit tedious or long, and gave you the option to opt out only from the welcome sequence and not from the general list? Because maybe you would like to receive the weekly emails, but you don't have the time and the energy to read the whole welcome sequence.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody differentiate those, actually.
Yeah, and it's a really good way, I think, to develop a much deeper trust and bond between you as the person who manages the list and your new subscriber. And I tell you what, Tom, ever since I implemented this option, no one has dropped out of my welcome sequence. So So far, 100% rate of
All
success.
right, so tell us
I stand
how
by it.
you word this.
It's as simple as having a really quick disclaimer or some kind of a sentence at the beginning of every email that I have from, I think, email 3 onward, saying, you're receiving this email because you're a part of my list now. If you don't want to receive the next few emails of my welcome sequence, no worries, you can opt out here. And then there's a link to an opt out, page, and that's that.
All right, now are you using double opt-in or single opt-in?
I'm using a single one.
Mm-hmm.
I have thought of doing the double one. There are pros and cons to doing both. For now, I'm sticking to just a single opt-in.
Yeah, let's hear your thoughts on the pros and cons.
Well, I think that when you are using a double one, you're absolutely getting this consent from your subscriber, which I like, which I'm all for. At the same time, I feel like a lot of people are not really considering this, or not, they don't really care about those emails, so they just kind of delete them right away. As well as maybe your email account, or your email address to be more precise, is sending emails directly to your new subscribers spam folder, god forbid,
Mm-hmm.
or your promotions tab. So there is no way that your new subscriber will actually see your double opt-in, and so you're kind of losing your new subscriber right away.
Yeah,
With the single one,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, that's the same philosophy I have. Is the only time I turn on double opt-in. Remember, I've been doing this 28 years and hundreds
Mm-hmm.
and hundreds of millions of emails. The only time I turn on double opt-in is occasionally, probably some 8-year-old is running a bot against my list and just spamming it to death. And so I turn on double opt-in, which kills all those emails from getting on the list, because you don't want crappy emails on the list, because then your delivery rate goes down and it looks like you're spamming people to the servers. So I only turn it on till the bot gets sick of me, and then I turn it back off. Single opt-in. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's a good method.
yeah, there we go. Now, number 3 seems to be quite a bit different than 1 and 2. Tell us about number 3, storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling is something that is pretty much as old as time. I'm not going to say anything new by saying that we're all inherently storytellers. But I do find that people like to buy from people, and the greatest way to actually humanize yourself is to tell a story. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to buy from companies or entities, with exceptions, of course. You want to buy from people that you know and you trust enough to invest money in their offer, whichever it might be. So with storytelling, I find that driving kind of the message, driving it home, comes a little bit more naturally and way less sleazy than just to, kind of punch in the entire, oh, buy from me now, this is only going to last
Yeah.
this and that time, and sound like a car salesman or something. No disrespect to car salesmen, but you know what I mean by that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that urgency and scarcity that's real is a powerful motivator to people to buy. But my problem was when people cross the line and make it up and make up fake urgency and fake scarcity. Because sometimes you just have to push people to move. But for instance, I had a promotion when I was transitioning from um, audio cassette tapes, which you probably not never even saw one.
Oh, come on. Of course I remember,
You're
and I've
very young.
used them myself, of course.
To CDs, and I had a super big liquidation sale, and I said, when they're gone, they're gone. And that was the way it was. And the same
Mhm,
thing when I transitioned from VHS tapes to DVDs.
mhm.
I wasn't gonna, when they're gone, they're gone. So that was reasonable and ethical truth. But but I did do a funny one time. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I mean, this was totally tongue in cheek. Everybody knew it was a joke. But I said, and speaking of car salesmen, so I mocked up a promotion as if it was a car sale. So I had a web page with porta potties and dancing hot dogs and flags and everything, and I said, hey, the old ebooks are clogging up the computer. The electrons from the old ebooks are clogging up the computer. The boss says move them out or we're going to get fired. So if you push your old ebook, and we'll give you credit for your old ebooks, push your ebook in, tow it in, and we sold $9,600 in half price ebooks that day. All right,
Okay.
but clearly it was a joke, and
Exactly.
it was not anything to fake people out like, oh well, we're out of ebooks. Sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Is anyone buying this anymore?
So, okay, now here's one thing I wondered about you. I saw that this is a quote from somewhere, I don't know, LinkedIn or somewhere. I'm Yuval, your friendly neighborhood email copywriter. Well, copy is used in like hundreds of different places. So why did you pick email only to coin yourself?
I really want to thank you for this question, Tom, because I think, yeah, that allows me to unveil a bit more about myself here, which honestly doesn't come off as naturally to me usually, but I'm happy to share it here. I started my business as a content writer, even though from the get-go, my company was called Yuval Ackerman Copywriting. Why did I choose this name? I don't know. I didn't even know what copywriting was. I started with writing blog posts for all kinds of companies, big and small. And time went by and I wrote more things for them. And all of a sudden they started asking me to write all kinds of other materials for them, like video scripts or Facebook ads and Google ads and emails as well. And I thought, wait a minute, something here is off. This is not what we agreed on to begin with. And that's when I kind of dove into the entire copywriting world. And I realized that this is a very good opportunity for me to become a specialist rather than a generalist. And I kind of had to ask myself and to kind of think of my days as a journalist and ask myself, what is it that I actually enjoyed doing? What is it back then as a journalist? What is it that I enjoy doing now? What do I want to use my writing for? And the simple answer to this is to tell other people's stories and to help people. And so while doing all those different experimentations with all kinds of different copywriting materials, I discovered that to me, the most efficient way to tell a story is via your emails. Because when you own a list, when you manage a list, you don't have to consider any kind of social media algorithms.
Right.
You control the narrative, you control the design, whether you have one or you don't have one and you don't care about it, it doesn't actually matter, in my opinion. And you can tell a story in length, and you can tell a very short story, and either way that would be better than, to me, personally, my preference, that would be better than just writing yet another Facebook ad, which I think we get way too much of either way.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I have been, to this day, I'll echo exactly what you're saying, is that we're in control of our email list. You can, and then first of all, I've been around so long, I remember MySpace and how that was the end all be all, and then boom, gone. And so I didn't even get on, I use a thing I call dull edge technology. I don't get on anything that's brand new because it's got the most bugs, it's the most expensive, and it's hard to tell if it's going to be around. So I didn't even get on Facebook till they had 1 billion users. So, so
Wow.
yeah, because I've been through it. I know I've seen people come and go, and all these things. So, and I could see it coming in the beginning of Facebook. They encourage you, get people to like your page, like your page, like your page. Now, unless you pay, less than 1% average of people see your post. So I never killed myself building up anything on social media. In fact, if you looked at me on social media, you'd say, oh, okay, he's passable, but nothing great. But I have over 100,000 email subscribers. It's been loads of money. But it's under my control. So anybody at my level is making their bulk of their money through email. That's just the ways
Hmm.
of the world. I mean, all the social media is great, but I call it a necessary evil to get people the heck off of there onto your email list. Right. So,
I fully agree.
yeah. So I can see why you made a good choice picking email for sure. Now, the only thing I would say is that telling a long story in email, over the years, the trend has been the shorter emails driving them to a web page, because the longer an email is, the more chance it can innocently get caught in a spam filter. And they're tightening those like crazy every day. So I don't tell any long stories. I usually try to use copywriting techniques to get them curious to want to go to the web page to read the whole story, which is under my control. So,
Which is one way to
hmm
do that,
hmm
or you can basically divide and conquer and tell the story in parts, which will also increase the curiosity of your reader to keep opening your emails. So that's another method that you can, or another approach that you can choose to work with. But either or is, I guess, a really good idea.
yeah, well, yeah, we've done e-courses for years and years and years, and that's what you're talking about, is breaking it down into segments, so that each one doesn't have to be so long and people anticipate the next one. So, but
Mhm.
I've always been copywriting. Once you learn the techniques, it invades all your writing. Now, I wanted to ask you: are you familiar with the term advertorial, and do you think that's sleazy?
Hmm. It could be. Everything could be sleazy and it could
Mm-hmm.
be not sleazy. It's not the what, but the how.
Or explain your what you feel advertorial is.
Are we referring to
We're
the
Yeah, I'm
the
referring to
advertising
something that, yeah,
tactics?
that looks like an advert. It looks like editorial, but it's really an advertisement. So it looks like an article basically, and there's no hint that there's anything for sale right away.
The borderline here in this case can be very, very, very thin. Again, I think it really depends on the how. It also could be, even the platform that this appears on. If this platform is known to be sleazy right from the get-go, then of course, if you're a constant reader, if you've been, on this platform for years, then obviously you don't expect anything else. But if it's on a platform where, you trust this platform and all of a sudden something like that comes up without any disclaimers, without being transparent about this, that could be incredibly sleazy.
Okay, so for instance, the guy that taught me this concept was Corey Rudel. I don't. He was the 31-year-old grandfather of internet marketing for small business. This was long ago, and so I showed him a sales order I had for my Wake 'em Up video professional speaking system. It's got over 1,000 tips on how to be a high-level professional speaker, and he saw the web page and he said, Tom, get that big picture off the top. He said, because of the nature of the internet, somebody's going to see what looks to be an expensive product at the top of the page. He said, what are they going to do? They're going to scroll to the bottom to see the price before they've seen any of the benefits. So he said, write an advertorial. And when we did the split testing back in the day, the edit, and this is $1,000, between 1,000 and 1,500, depending on sales and stuff. The advertorial sold 4 times as many systems as the one with the picture on it. So very powerful concept because people, and that the idea is whether you think it's sleazy or not, is that the people see the benefits before they see the price, rather than they see the price and they don't bother to look at the benefits.
But see, I think there's a big difference here because when it comes to a sales page, I don't think there's anything sleazy with mentioning the benefits first, because obviously you want to highlight what's in it
Mm-hmm.
for the reader, and that's beautiful. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Um, the only thing that I see nowadays that kind of bothers me with sales pages, which I'm not uh, specializing in, but just to point it out, is that the length of a sales page became so tedious and so long, and it's impossible to go through everything. Now, I bet that all the pieces of the information on those sales pages are necessary. But what I maybe would advise people to do is to give a better navigation system within the sales pages if they're this long, if they're like 3,000, 5,000, 7,000 word long, um, then I don't know, throw a button here and there to skip to the to the price, and kind of cut the crap and get to it, because some people, or most people, won't actually sit down and read the entire thing.
Well, what people typically do, and this is I've always taught this is how you get rich, is you split test. So instead of
Absolutely.
making a navigation button, you could have a long version, a short version, a video version, a video with text underneath, various different versions, and then let the people decide which one they like the best. That's you can. As anybody that tells you they can predict, guard your wallet and run, because you just you never know. I mean, so long as I've been doing this, I cannot predict which for that particular promotion, for that particular price, for that particular audience and product, which sales letter will win. I get surprised all the time, and so don't let anybody tell you that one way is the only way. You got to test.
Absolutely. And you know what, Tom? This is basically what ethical marketing is all about. There is no one way to do anything, pretty much. And A/B testing and split testing is, within the email marketing realm, which is, my field. So I'm a huge advocate for split testing myself.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, we got to take a brief sponsor break, and then when we come back, we're going to ask Yuval, what's a typical day look like for her and her business, and does she have a morning routine, and what time she get up, and how she runs her business of doing ethical copywriting. Well, folks, about say about 25 years ago, it kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, and that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to um, teach what they knew to other small business people. And I knew a lot of these people. Talk about unethical. Jeez, you'd give them that money, they'd be hiding out in Israel trying to find, you'd never find them again. So I thought, that's too risky for a small business to put out that kind of money. So I said, okay, I'm going to fix this. So I charged about a 10% of what they were charging as an entry fee to my program. And for me to get my 50,000, you have to net 200,000. Well, people really liked this because they knew that I wouldn't disappear on them, and it was a lot less risky for them. And so they kind of like this. And 25 years later, the program is still going strong, and no lawsuits, nobody bad mouthing me because they know I'm going to be here for them. So I call it the longest running, most successful, most unique program in internet and digital marketing ever. And I triple dog dare people to put a program up against mine because I'm a crazy fanatic. I was helping people on Memorial Day. I do evenings, weekends. It's all one-on-one with me and my entire staff. So you're not lumped in with people more advanced or less advanced. You have an immersion weekend at the retreat center here in Virginia Beach, where you spend a long weekend actually living in the retreat center with me. And we have a TV studio here where we shoot videos for you, edit them, send them to you. So nobody on earth gives you this kind of stuff. So check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. copywriter.com and give me a call. There's no high pressure here, no machine guns, or in deference to our guest, no Uzis here on you to force you to do anything. And once you are here at the retreat center, there's no upselling and none of that. We're here to give you value and make you a top online marketer. All right, let's get back to the main event. We're here with Yuval Ackerman. She's an ethical email marketer, and I love her ideas and what she's all about. But Yuval, so how do you run your business? Do you have a morning routine? When do you get up? What do you eat? How do you operate in a day?
It's interesting because it took me a good while to get to my morning routine as it is nowadays. But I'm sticking to it. I think that's the most important thing. I do have a morning routine. It's quite long, but I need it. I absolutely need it before I can even start, thinking. I wake up at around 8 a.m., something like that. Trying to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. Not always. There's so much content out there that I'm interested in. And I start with a cup of coffee and writing morning papers, which I'm not sure you probably have heard of that, right?
Morning papers? Is that journaling or?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the idea is to write 3 full pages, handwritten pages, before you check any kind of messages, and just kind of do a whole brain dump.
Well, that's interesting, Yuval, because the person on episode 601, the brain rewiring lady, she has you do that, but she has you do it with your opposite hand.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That's next level.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then I finish my morning papers, I finish my coffee. I scroll a little bit on my phone. It's terrible. I don't recommend, but I'm still human. And then I do a quick yoga session online, and I take a shower, and then my day starts at around 10 a.m. So it's about 2 hours of prep work.
Okay.
But I think that keeps me really, really grounded and awake more than anything.
And what's the typical day look starting at 10 business day?
I would say that I work a couple of hours on something. It changes pretty much every day. There are lots of things to do every day. And then at around noon, I make some, I would call it brunch because it's fun. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I eat brunch every day, and then get back to work for a couple more hours.
Now, when you're working, do you writing for people or teaching them? Or both?
I do so many things, Tom. It's kind of mind-blowing to me as well. And it's only going to grow very soon. Gosh, I cannot believe. But yeah, I do everything. I mostly do client work, but in the very near future, it's going to expand. Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for coming on. As I said, it's a topic dear to my heart, being ethical with people and open and transparent. I think we have a little bit of disagreement on stuff, but still, it's neither one of us are getting any lawsuits or people yelling at us. So I guess we're in good shape. So thanks so much. Now, how do they get a hold of you?
I think the best way, well, I'm obviously biased, but the best way to get a hold of me is through my email list.
Oh, no kidding. I would have never guessed
that. So yeah, come see me, come see what I preach basically, and get, weekly funny stories about bad copy in the wild, and also what you can do and inspirational stuff. Anyhow, you can join at ackermancopywriting.com/subscribe.
Wait, go ahead and spell it for him. Ackerman.
Ackerman Copywriting. So Ackerman is spelled Akerman, copywriting.
Yeah, make sure you spell that right, folks. Don't put an R, copywriting. All right, it's WR.
Yeah, exactly. A completely different field. The other way.
AckermanCopywriting.com/what?
Subscribe.
Subscribe, and then they'll see what you were talking about, right? The welcome
Exactly.
sequence and everything. Good. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram at Ackerman Copywriting, or with my name, Yuval Ackerman. You will find me everywhere,
yeah,
pretty much.
Yuval is Yuval. Right?
Exactly.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll catch you next time. Everybody be ethical out there, or both Yuval will come at you from across the pond and I'll get you from this side. So don't do anything that's not ethical. All right. Catch you all in the next episode. See you later.